What's up guys, it's Jackie here from The Wandering Oak and I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Today I'm going to take you along on an adventure to finishing this hallway. John and I started this project about 10 months ago. It was back last December, even before Christmas, where we started working on the entire south side of our house, which our house is only 650 square feet, so it's really small. Literally cutting our usable space in half for almost an entire year has been driving me bonkers. So this hallway is getting done today. I've already done most of the painting on all the trim and the doors. Some of it needs one more coat of black, and then we are going to paint the ceiling and the crown molding and then get to painting the walls. I told myself that I wasn't allowed to decorate for Christmas until it's done. I'm not going to start putting Christmas decorations up if we still have to do drywalling and painting and all that stuff. It would just get real messy real fast. So what you see behind me in this box here is actually a Christmas tree, and I cannot wait to put it up. So we are going to finish this hallway today. I'll take you through some tips to hide some flaws and mistakes if you're doing your own renovations, because let's be honest, not even professionals get stuff perfectly exact. There are always ways to fix and hide your mistakes and make it look all nice and pretty. So maybe at the end of this video, we'll unbox that Christmas tree. And stay till the end of the video because I am going to let you guys know how the resin pieces that we did the other day turned out. So I've got to get started by clearing everything in the hallway out so we have room to work. So I have just black here, bare ultra black and satin. I just have to do one more coat on this door and one more coat around this window. I think most people, when they're painting a door, they use a roller. I prefer a brush. I think it actually gives it a nice, almost wood grain texture, but it's important when you're painting a door like this with a brush that you are aware of how your brush strokes are going on the door. So what I do is follow the grooves here. So I go down here and then I go over here with the direction of the grooves in the door. And then this part of the door that's in any of the details, I make sure I only go up and down the way that a wood door would be. And then as far as the exterior of the door, so the top of the door, the middle, and the bottom are what I do first. And I make sure I go horizontally, and then I follow through all the way, top to the bottom, vertically like this. So then this piece and this piece is framing the door, and these guys have a clear, solid line. Think about the way if you broke this door into shapes, you want this whole rectangle and this whole rectangle to have brush strokes going top to bottom vertically. And you're gonna wanna take off your doorknob. I already did around the door 3 coats so then we could put the doorknob back on because our puppy likes to get in this room and there's all kinds of things like debris that she can eat. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this one more coat and then we will give the molding one more coat and then we're gonna work on the ceiling. Here, hopefully you can see what I'm talking about, how the brush leaves the texture, like stroke on the door, but I actually like the texture because it makes it look more like wood, in my opinion. You just want to be conscious of what direction your brush strokes are going so you don't end up with like crisscross. That wouldn't look good. So now we're on to the next step, which I was planning on painting the ceiling, but I think the ceiling's actually all right for now because that would involve cutting in around all that light and everything. I just don't think I'm up for it. It always goes that way, huh? You know, you start out a project with the best intentions to do everything proper and right and the proper steps, and then you start doing the project and all that goes out the window. So I am gonna start by painting the crown molding right here, and I'm just gonna cut in the ceiling. I'm gonna make it the same color that I'm going to paint the ceiling, so whenever I go to paint the ceiling, that's already done. And I am allowing myself to be sloppy, as you can see on all the molding here. I didn't take the time to nicely cut a nice edge because it's a lot easier to cut in when you're painting the wall rather than when you're painting the molding. So I'm gonna do the same thing for the ceiling. I'm going to just sloppily, I'm gonna cut in at the ceiling because I don't want the white to be different until I paint the ceiling. So I'm gonna cut in at the ceiling, but then just like plaster the wall a little bit, and then we'll start cutting in on the floor while that dries with the wall color, and we'll get to painting the walls. These situations that I was talking about, oh my gosh, I just stuck my hand in wet paint. Good job. Okay, but this is one of these situations I was talking about, how even if you have kind of like made a whoopsie and your job isn't perfect, you can see that we cut the drywall a little too big around the box, and because these are supposed to like rest on the very outside of the drywall. You see these red things in here. You can get spacers to, I mean, it's super easy. You just unscrew the outlet from the wall and you pop in however many spacers you need. So that is a really good tip. They're super inexpensive. If you have any outlets in your house that are a little too far back into the wall and you want to just bring them out forward to give your house a little bit of a cleaner more polished appearance, that is a really good way. Just go into the electrical section at any hardware store. We got ours from Menards. Super inexpensive. They're just little plastic pieces that bump out your outlet in front of the wall. So it's a good tip. We just got back from Walmart. We had to run and get some Christmas lights because we cannot for the life of us figure out where our Christmas lights are to put the tree up. So we went ahead and John did a second coat on the walls when he got home after we ate dinner. And now we're gonna set up our Christmas tree and we're gonna call it a night because it's like 11 o'clock. And I severely underestimated how long it was gonna take to do this project.
Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand, you ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. Promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times. Oh, and the sun said it is just getting better on a blanket with the skyline painted in blue. Ooh, yeah, that's what we do. We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling.
So here it is about midnight, and this right here is 3 strands of lights. I have 4 more that I can put on there, and then I severely underestimated how many lights this tree was gonna take. This tree is actually quite large. It's only 7.5 feet, but this is a 5-foot wide hallway and it fills up the whole thing. I'm super excited to have this tree though. We got it for $100 from Hobby Lobby. I really like how there are different textures and it's not just like one type of needle, like pine needle. There's a bunch of different textures in there and pine cones. It did not come with lights on it because getting a pre-lit tree added an extra $100 onto it, and I wasn't about to pay $200 for a Christmas tree when I could get the same one for $100 and put my own lights on it. But it is definitely going to take some time. This is taking a long time, but it'll look so good when it's done. I'm so excited. The Christmas season is fast approaching. It's crazy that it's almost November already. It definitely doesn't feel like it. But just remember this, it's never too early to decorate for a holiday you love. If it brings you joy, there's enough in this world that's just crummy and nasty that you should do every little thing to make you happy that you possibly can and bring you that little bit of extra joy. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me as I completed this renovation. I'm so glad that the hallway is done now. There's just little things that need to be done, like adding some caulk to corners and everything like that, but it is done. I can decorate for Christmas in this hallway now. And now I'm going to show you the clip that I recorded earlier today about demolding and how the resin pieces went. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and we will see you in the next video. Bye. So here I have a bag of all of the stuff that was in the molds, as well as some stuff here on the table. These four here, this and this guy, all needed to have a little bit of resin to fix the problems. So I am learning a whole lot about exactly what not to do when working with resin. I fully understand, like, a new skill takes time to harness and figure out how to do it right, but I severely underestimated how hard working with resin is. There are like so many rules, and it behaves in ways you don't expect. I think I am finally narrowing it down to exactly what I need to do. So one of the big problems that I had with the resin pieces that I made were, one, the resin wasn't mixed properly. Like, the ratios were right, but it wasn't mixed well enough. So some of the pieces turned out kind of bendy. These, they turned out okay. Don't mind this one. I'm gonna have to sand it down because I had to fix some mistakes where the leaf was still exposed. Like, it turned out okay, but I mixed way too much pigment, so the resin color is way too dark. So that's the issue with this one. This guy has way too many bubbles in it, and I also kind of shredded. Yeah, it looks pretty bad, but I am learning what not to do here. And then the dominoes, you can kind of see where the flour was still exposed on some of these, and I tried to pour more resin on top of it to fix them a little bit, which there's still the divot and it's still not great, which sucks because I really like the way that these turned out color-wise, you know, with the flowers and the gold leaf in them. And then same thing happened over here. There were some air bubbles where, because this is the back side, so I had laid the flowers down and then I poured the resin. So what has to happen is pouring a thin layer of resin first and then putting the flowers in and then letting that harden to the point where the flowers are completely stuck and they're not going to float anymore, and then pouring the rest of the resin on top and doing it in thin layers, popping all the bubbles. And I really need to get a heat gun because using a lighter like this is super dangerous. I feel like the whole thing is just going to like catch on fire and explode. None of this stuff is good enough to put on the shop yet because, of course, I don't want to put subpar items in the shop. But this guy here, I am still going to sand the edges a bit and put gold leaf on the edges and some hanging hardware. And it is going to live in the hallway we are working on today. So not all is lost. And this guy might be shredded a little bit, but I am still going to drill a hole in it and put it on my Christmas tree this year. And I was thinking some of these dominoes that I made, I think I want to turn them into some keychains. I don't know if I'm going to put them on the shop yet. I have to really like sand the edges and polish them and make them look real nice, and then see how good they are. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do about the snowflakes because I have to be super like intricate in sanding these. I think I need to get some jewelry sanding files, but also you can just see that the resin didn't completely make it all the way into the mold. So I think I need to go through with a toothpick as I'm casting the resin to make sure that it gets in all of the little grooves and stuff, because these are really pretty and I would love to put these in the shop, but we are just not to that point. And you can see like the color is really pretty on these, but it's too dark to see. So I'm thinking if I wanted to do a colored backdrop like these, that I would have to first do a layer of clear, lay the leaves and flowers down, let that harden, and then do this as the background. It's all a learning process. We'll get there, but it's interesting nonetheless. And the big piece, the piece that was even bigger than this, was a total flop. Found out the hard way that my table is 100% not level. So you can even see it. You can see it on this one a little bit, how this side is thicker than this side because of my table's levelness. And on the other piece, it was super noticeable because like this side was way thicker than the other side. And then I took it out of the mold too early and it just cured all wonky and it wasn't straight anymore. So sadly, that was a lot of resin, but it went in the trash. So I'm gonna have to get like a board and then shim it the next time I do this so everything's level, because that really sucks to waste that much resin because resin is super expensive. A gallon of resin costs about $65. So as soon as I have some of my other flowers dried and ready to go in resin, I will be trying this again and hopefully it goes smoother this time.